Putting radical optionality into practice. A new era of competition requires a highly dynamic approach to strategy. Let's adjust our sails and our course and start this new strategic coffee. My name is Victor Marromo, strategic planning and performance management coach and consultant. The authorship is by Mr. Martin Rips from the BCG Henderson, Minea Boll from Broadman School of Management, and Adam Job from the BCG Henderson, and some ideas, notes, and appointments by myself. Let's remember the idea. The pace of change continues to accelerate as digital innovations reshape business models and short-term timescales. Geopolitical strife and social polarization are elevating uncertainty and volatility. We have a great challenge ahead. Leaders face choices not between a few plausible future states, but a multitude. This means they must execute on their current models while exploring many other options or adjusting their sails, as we are saying at the beginning. As we were on this new jet from Long Beach to Honolulu in the Trans-Pac race. Let's put up a solution and a practice. Embracing radical optionality will allow firms to turn uncertainty from a disruptive threat into a potential source of advantage. It requires upending the basic axioms of strategy making, reinventing operating practices, and reimagining the organization. We have already covered 5 steps introducing radical optionality. Now we are getting into the practice, into action. Remember that we are action managers, action strategists. So we need to put radical optionality into practice. Overturning the inherent tenets of strategy is a daunting proposition. Setting up our sails in a new strategy is scary. What could a model of radical optionality look like in practice? While no company we are aware of has yet perfected such a model in all respects. This is new ground, new seas, unexplored territory and ocean. Some firms demonstrate the feasibility of different aspects of it and can thus serve as orientation points for operationalization. So, the boundaries between search and execution processes must be dissolved. Each employee, each manager, each strateger is always exploring and exploiting. So point number 1, embrace external complexity. In a stable context, it is efficient to strive for standardized offerings in order to achieve economies of scale and experience. However, creating optionality for an uncertain future means turning variation from an expensive inconvenience into a valuable source of information, leading to greater optionality and differentiation. Companies need to treat the execution of routine tasks and customer interactions, key stakeholder customers, as opportunities for learning. I'm going to put an image of our learning cards. Customer. Standardization cards, tasks, and offerings becomes counterproductive since it represses variance, which is a grist for new ideas. 4. Setting up and redirecting our sales. Instead, firms need to leverage their digital presence and use learning algorithms to capture process lessons from each interaction. Take the example of call center operations, which always ask and seeks for learning and development, a vast set of activities that spans many verticals, including automotive, sales, telecom, software service, and energy distribution, to name a few. Each call center has a critical function, supporting clients by answering their questions, providing them with information, and registering and addressing their complaints. Simple operational stuff, right? No, this could turn into a strategic factor, customer service. That is why our so-called customers choose us rather than the competition. Each call recorded, analyzed, parsed, summarized, and encoded using data and algorithms that look for identifiable patterns generates great information, which can be mined to inform the design of better client support experiences, better training for call center staff, and better offerings and customer care. And remember that customer care and service could be a powerful strategic factor. We're considering cloud storage platforms like Dropbox and Drive, even as they are under attack by Microsoft and Amazon cloud storage services. They continue to differentiate and thrive. They do so by providing users with best inter-class integration with common software and collaboration tools, which smooth out users' workflows by knowing the types of documents and files users store and the kinds of activities they engage in with them. 2. Simultaneously search and execute. Improving the economics of optionality requires firms to achieve simultaneous search and execution, not just a tired integration of the two. The spatial and temporal boundaries between them must be dissolved. The aim is to achieve one continuous dynamic process. Each employee, each manager is always both exploring and exploiting and documenting information in their customer learning cards. This will require embedding components of search into execution and using the resulting insights to guide a search. Going beyond mining information from natural variation, companies can create artificial variation by leaving room in a scripted process for employees to test out new possibilities. This needs to be coupled with a thorough analysis of which deviations were successful and why, and evolving the script accordingly. Companies can also utilize structured experimentation. For example, companies like Booking and Microsoft conduct thousands of online experiments a year to identify potential improvements to the user experience. At the same time, companies must continuously feed ideas from search into execution to validate hypotheses and accelerate iteration or attrition. One way to do this to recruit field testers, as a New England-based apparel company, Smartwool, does. They buy and test new products, providing the company with crucial insights about their performance, suggestions for improvements, and ideas for new products. Another option is for companies to get customers involved earlier in their ideation process. For example, video game studios often publish playable demos, essentially vertical slices of the core gameplay, early in the development process to gather feedback and stir up interest. In recent years, some studios have even begun approaching customers with little more than a concept for a game or outlining their intentions on a crowdfunding to receive investments as well as feedback. Those lessons can shape the production process and enhance the popularity of the final product. As companies transcend the barrier between search and execution, the delay between idea and realization is significantly reduced. Ultimately, it may be eliminated as firms integrate processes on timescales that are accessible only to machines, with small and large scale decisions being made by algorithms based on a detailed and up to date understanding of customer desires or strategic factors, customers, and the current context. Think of Netflix recommendation engine, which constantly updates its suggestions based on an evolving understanding of individual user tastes. 3. Facilitate, shape, and monetize the customer's exploration process. Most firms focus on satisfying the immediate and explicit needs of customers. Some go further than that and try to predict future needs using the techniques detailed above. But few companies interact directly with the customer's own process of exploration. Serving the exploration needs of customers offers various avenues toward value creation by facilitating the customer search for products or services. Companies can learn more about the customer needs, which can serve as crucial input for their search process. Their strategic factors to Google's approach. For example, helping customers find the best solutions to their explicit needs has become the core business for some firms. Think of meta search engines that let users compare offerings, such as the travel from kayak. Others have found ways to enhance their core offering. Nike, for instance, has introduced a fit function in its app that allows customers to measure their foot size and shape, helping them find the right shoe size, which may among differ about in sneaker models. Customers feel more secure in their purchasing decisions, and Nike improves its inventory management and reduces the number of costly returns. By interacting with the customer's search process directly, companies can also shape it. For example, fashion e-commerce websites like Zappos, through their wear it with or complete the look recommendations, nudge customers to purchase other items, complementing a selected piece. In this way, companies can increase the potential yield of all options they are pursuing by increasing the probability that will be desired by the customer. It has been reported that about half of all products sold on Amazon are presented to customers by its personalized recommendation engine. See the next great digital advantage by Vijay Govindirajan and N. Venkatraman from HBR. Some companies have turned the customer search process into a product by providing search as a service. NCXT, a computer hardware manufacturer, offers a custom PC building service, which differentiates itself from the competition by allowing customers to specify alongside their budget which games they want to play and what graphical performance they expect. Before recommending a set of components that fits those requirements, this enhances convenience as customers don't have to navigate confusing third-party performance benchmarks or reviews to select the appropriate hardware. A customer exploration, a journey of self-discovery and personal growth, can even be monetized directly. For example, purchasing a bottle of wine may be not only the expression of a desire to taste the beverage, but a learning journey in wine making and culture. The Rush Bar Wine Club is a subscription service that offers biannual shipments of 6 bottles of wine for a fee of 500. While it is more expensive than some competing services, it includes sommelier Rush Bar phone number and an encouragement to discuss the world of wines with him, which appeals to aspiring wine connoisseurs. So, my friends, say this: you need to have radical optionality, search ways in order to engage with your best and potential customers for strategic factors. Let's continue, my friends, with organizational implications for radical strategy. Strategy is not the only thing that is traditionally tailored toward maximum fit and alignment. The organization itself is most often designed for static efficiency, with employees in set roles following set processes. Organizational design must also reflect the new strategic approach of radical optionality, of setting up new sales or adjusting them. Those firms pursuing radical optionality will be characterized by the following 3 points. Let's discuss number 1: organizational fluidity. To embrace external complexity and variation in their strategies, firms must reflect those traits in their organization setup. This is consistent with the biological law of requisite complexity, which posits that the internal complexity of a system must match the complexity of the environment it confronts if it is to adapt successfully. It does not need to become as structurally complex as its environment. That would dwarf its metabolic functions, but it needs enough complexity to allow it to make changes that matter to its survival. In a situation in which the nature, number, and importance of environmental variables change quickly, organizations cannot be structurally inert, as most hierarchical organizations are. Rather, they need to be organized as networks of networks that are rapidly reconfigurable. Take the example of Alphabet approach to machine learning development. There are several hierarchically independent groups within Alphabet, such as DeepMind, Google Brain, etc., that alternately compete and collaborate to bring solutions to a rapidly evolving market for predictive and causal interference and inferences. This approach not only keeps many options open, but it also increases the potential for creating options by leveraging learnings from different groups. Organizations cannot be designed as top-down, static hierarchies, but must become continuously evolving models, leaving room for roles, structures, and processes to emerge bottom up. tailored to the shifting context. And that, my friends, is the whole idea of adjusting, setting up new sales, etc. Let's continue with number 2. Number 2, human technology partnerships. As boundaries between thinking and doing and exploring and exploiting are torn down, more will be required of employees, who will be asked not just to execute, but to innovate around their tasks. And that is a labor that managers would need to set their employees up. They will need help from machines, which can take over routine tasks based on pattern recognition or optimization, as well as assist in more creative efforts. Generative AI tools can, for example, spark new ideas for graphic designers, or through clever prompts, simulate likely responses to a marketer communications draft. That would let employees focus on tasks requiring human cognitive abilities, such as imagining entirely new possibilities or conducting activities requiring ethical reasoning or empathy. Amazon, for example, has automated decisions such as inventory management and pricing under a philosophy known as hands off the wheel. The company focuses its human talent on coming up with new ideas, such as cashierless grocery stores. To realize synergies between machines and humans, companies will need to fundamentally rethink organizational design, to segment cognitive tasks appropriately, to create effective governance for algorithmic processes, and to create machine-human interfaces that are matched for the very different processing bandwidth and comprehension functions of each. Only by doing so will the full potential of what has been called the bionic company could be achieved. Let's continue with the last but no least, number 3, and a short conclusion to this strategic coffee. Number 3, forward-looking performance metrics. The value of options will only be apparent in certain states of the world, and usually over the long term. For this reason, short-term perspectives will always undervalue optionality. Thus, new metrics are required that go beyond the traditional focus of exploitative proficiency, such as market share and profitability. Although most companies don't do this, it's certainly possible to place great emphasis on future option value. For example, 3M owes part of its innovative success to its new Product Vitality Index, a metric that tracks the share of sales from products that didn't exist 5 years ago. Thornton Tomasetti, a leading civil engineering firm, offers another example. It leverages a vitality scorecard to assess and manage its growth potential and capacity for reinvention relative to those of its competitors. This is complemented internally by a metric that rates project proposals on their contribution to overall firm vitality. There are, of course, limits to numerical quantification. Making decisions today on the basis of potential events in the far future is something that both organizations and markets have trouble with. There is no market for Caribbean cruise berths in December 2098, for example. To bridge this gap of imagination, organizations can focus on developing technologies that are maximally evolvable, so that they work in as many conceivable worlds as possible. In a world in which probabilities become poor bases for predictions, we should use conceivability as a guide to possibility. In fact, we can make a strong argument for imagination being a competitive advantage. So, what is the next era for this radical optionality strategy? Our setting up and adjusting of sales. The next era of competition is at hand. To succeed in an environment of high uncertainty, great short-term pressure, and tighter resource constraints, organizations must become future advantage and even better and more efficient at development options for future advantage while continuing to perform in the present. To achieve a state of radical optionality, firms must overturn some of the core tenets of strategy by thinking while doing, exploring while exploiting, and striving for flexibility rather than fit. They must embrace complexity, learn to search and execute on ideas simultaneously, and engage with customers and their strategic factors in their personal journeys. Accomplishing that will require new organizational forms and work practices, deeper integration between humans and technology, and next generation performance metrics. Let's make a recap of our authors. Mr. Martin Reeves is the chairman of Boston Consulting Group BCG Henderson in San Francisco and the co-author of The Imagination Machine. Linnea Moldavo is the Marcel de Sautel's Professor of Integrative Thinking, Professor of Economic Analysis, and the Director of the de Sautel Center for Integrative Thinking at the Rodman Digital at the Rodman School of Management from U Toronto. And Adam Job is the Director of the Strategy Lab at the BCG Henderson Institute. And myself, with voice and some notes. I'm a professor at the Howard University at Strategy, and also I'm a strategic planning and performance management coach and consultant. I hope that this setting up of new sales were of interest. We need to toughen up, to step up, and create new ways to work within strategy and our organizations. So this, thank you for listening and watching in this strategic coffee. For the next strategic coffee, we will be pointing out some interesting things about customers, suppliers, corporate, and HR, our famous strategic and key stakeholders. So this, see you at the next strategic coffee. Goodbye. If you have any questions, comments, ideas of how can we help you, please reach out. I will be glad to help you. See you in the next time. Thank you. Goodbye.